Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2! It's a challenge, Kakarot!
Any Dragon Ball Z fan would be educated in the concept of ki, but ki incorporation has been introduced in different ways from one Dragon Ball Z game to the next. For those of you who are unfamiliar, ki is what allows Goku to perform his Kamehameha. Unlike most traditional fighters that execute a Hadouken by merely typing in the command, Dragon Ball Z games require a certain amount of ki. This can be attained throughout battle via combat reward, support Z items, support blasts, or simply charging with L2. When a character lands a physical attack upon the opponent, the player's character is awarded an increase in ki. If the player's character is customized with the right Z item, his ki may be affected. If the player's character possesses the right support blast, his ki may be affected. If the player chooses to charge his ki with L2, his ki meter will begin to fill with ki. Each meter consists of 5 ki gauges, which will be located beneath the character's life bar. A super blast, such as the Kamehameha, may require a different amount of ki, so it is important to know what blast your character possesses. Also, different characters charge their ki at different rates, which will set the pace for ki-based combat. This ki is not only used for super blasts such as the Kamehameha, but can also be used to amplify the effects of basic movement. As explained in the last episode, a player can dash in any direction while positioned in the first level of focal adherence by pressing X and the desired direction. If inclined, the player could choose to incorporate ki by holding L2 and then pressing X, or X and the desired direction, to execute the Dragon Dash. This movement can be performed in both levels of focal adherence, as the boost of ki is too much for the laws of focal adherence to maintain. However, it is at this point that I must also point out that the hold of focal adherence is based on the distance between characters. While even most Tenkaichi players understand there to be 2 levels of combat positioning, inside the step-in barrier and outside the step-in barrier, it is also important that we understand the step-in barrier to consist of 2 levels as well, the inner core and the outer core. Quite in fact, there are more levels than this, but this basic understanding should suffice. This will be the difference between performing a side Dragon Dash that will follow the circumference of the opponent and one that will break free. In case of the latter, one may notice that as a distance is created, circumferential movement begins to re-establish itself. If 2 players were to make contact via Dragon Dash, flash animation will take place, in which both players must rotate analog sticks to decide the winner. And finally, ki incorporation can also be used to create Dragon Ascension and Dragon Descent. All ki-based movement consumes ki. Such depletion will be shown in the ki meter. We will cross additional movement aspects of the game as we continue, but now is a good time to get back to the offense. As explained before, the most basic combo in Tenkaichi 2 is the base combo set, consisting of 5 consecutive presses of the square button. Each character's melee may include a variation of natural reach and levels of aggression, so it would be wise to take note of the difference when regarding how combat will be conducted. It would also be wise to consider the differences in recovery times, ki charge rates, character heights, character speeds, damage potential, and so on. Contrary to popular belief, there are many character differences to consider that can change the pace and outcome of a battle. The general consensus of Tenkaichi 2's combo system is that it is far too simple. The fact that the base combo set consists of pressing the same button 5 times does not bode well for Tenkaichi complexity. This level of Tenkaichi combat has convinced many players to see Tenkaichi 2 as a button masher. As this project progresses, you will come to find that while Tenkaichi may be easy to play, it is extremely difficult to master. A player that claims Tenkaichi 2 to be a button masher is simply a player that never advanced past button mashing. This cannot be helped, for some do find bliss in ignorance. To establish a firm footing, let us break things down to the simplest form of melee, the square button. As explained before, a single press of the square may execute a punch, a kick, or the swing of a weapon. Such an attack holds a counterpart for defense, which would be to press and hold circle, aka the guard button. In order to perform and complete a single base combo set, one would press the square button 5 times, resulting with 5 or more hits to the opponent. As such, to defend against the combo set, one would merely press and hold guard. At this level, surely we have established a decent understanding. Attack with square, block with circle. Attack with square, block with circle. Attack with square, block with circle. Now what would happen if we chose to hold the square button? If you predicted a charged melee attack, you are 100% correct. A player of Budokai 3 can choose to execute a single chargeable melee attack by pressing and holding a single button. However, if he chooses to incorporate chargeable melee within the combo, it must pertain to the specific chargeable input in accordance to the combo's design. In these examples, one may notice that some attacks are capitalized, while others are not. One may venture to guess that the attacks that are capitalized are chargeable attacks, while the others are not. Therefore, this requires the player to understand exactly where the chargeable attacks exist within a given base combo in order to charge the attack correctly. Now, let us consider Tenkaichi 2 again. In Tenkaichi 2, the initial square button can be charged. Not only can the initial square button be charged, but any square existing in a combo set can be charged. This means that any attack that would initially possess a specific effect and resulting damage output can be manipulated in strength and speed. In reference to the strength of the charge, a meter is generously placed at the bottom right of the screen to inform the player exactly how much the attack is being charged. Through experiential understanding, a Tenkaichi 2 player knows that charged melee attacks are presented through 3 levels of charge, described as follows. The weak charge, otherwise known as the green charge, the medium charge, otherwise known as the red charge, and the strong charge, also known as the smash charge. While one may begin to question how a player might defend against such an attack, it is important for everyone to know when to keep it simple. Stick with what you know from the traditional sense. Hold guard. The effectiveness of holding guard stems from the traditional aspect of guarding defense, so don't stray too far from the basics here. We are still working with basic attacks, so stay within a basic defense. In order to push the guard mentality beyond neutrality, we must consider the directional incorporations of charged melee. Charged attacks can also be directed to knock the opponent in one of 5 directions: straight, down, up, left, and right. It is important to know how each level of charge affects the opponent as well, for follow-up attacks will depend entirely on charged power and direction of aftermath. Aftermath is how the opponent is physically affected by the different levels of charge power. A single basic melee attack will result with base aftermath, in which the opponent must attempt recovery. Due to the difference of recovery time between base aftermath and base melee offensive recovery, an attacking player is granted combo ability as long as base aftermath requires more time than melee recovery. When looking at chargeable melee, things tend to get a little tricky. In order to dissect such aspects of the game, consider the following. Base aftermath is the recovery time relating to base melee. There is no positional displacement and presents low physical effect. Green aftermath is the recovery time relating to weak charged melee. There is no positional displacement and there is a higher physical effect. Red aftermath is the recovery time relating to medium charged melee. There is positional displacement and an even higher physical effect. And then there's the smash aftermath, which is the recovery time relating to strong charged melee. There is severe displacement and creates a ragdoll effect on the opponent. While basic melee cannot be directed with directional incorporation, charged attacks can. Therefore, to hit the opponent with a charged attack from the front, simply charge the attack and release. This is known as the neutral charge attack, as no directional incorporation is used. However, when directing the charge, one would perform the following for the desired effect. To knock them down, hold down and charge square. To knock them left, hold left and charge square. To knock them right, hold right and charge square. And to knock them upward, hold up and charge square. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we get further into charged melee and how one can seize the advantage in one's offense. This is ZeroAnnihilated, and you're watching Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 Evolution.